How Wall Street is pricing you out of homeownership. The American dream in crisis. Not so long ago, homeownership wasn't just a milestone. It was the American dream. It was a beacon of stability, a way to build wealth, and a foundation for raising a family. For decades, the idea was simple. Work hard, save enough for a down payment, and secure your future by owning your own piece of land. Take my parents, for example. They bought their first home in the late 1980s, a modest 3-bedroom ranch-style house in a quiet neighborhood. The mortgage? A figure that seems laughably low today. But back then, it was within reach for middle-class families. Fast forward to today, and that dream feels like a distant memory for millions of Americans. Homes are listed for sale, but they're snatched up faster than most buyers can even schedule a viewing. Prices skyrocket year after year, far outpacing wage growth. Families who once thought they'd be moving into their dream homes are now settling for rentals. Or worse, staying with relatives indefinitely. Why does it feel this way? Why does the housing market seem like a game rigged against ordinary people? The answer, though complex, points to one undeniable truth. Wall Street has entered the game, and they're playing to win at our expense, the shadow players of real estate. Imagine this. You've been saving for years, sacrificing vacations and fancy dinners, all to build up a down payment. You find a home that's perfect, maybe not a mansion, but something that checks all your boxes. You work with your lender, you put in an offer, and you cross your fingers. Then comes the crushing news. The seller accepted another offer. Not just any offer, a cash offer. And not just any buyer, a corporate investor with deep pockets. It's not just a rare case of bad luck. This is happening across the country. Companies like Blackstone, Invitation Homes, and Progress Residential are buying properties en masse. They aren't just buying single homes, they're buying entire neighborhoods. Their goal isn't to move in, their goal is profit. These firms turn properties into rental units, creating a market where families pay premium rents while never building equity. In many cases, these corporations offer above-market cash payments, pushing prices beyond what traditional buyers can afford. But how did Wall Street become a player in a game that used to be for families and first-time buyers? The housing market hijack. To understand how we got here, we need to rewind to 2008, the financial crisis. Millions of Americans lost their homes to foreclosure. For families, it was devastating. But for Wall Street, it was an opportunity. Investment firms saw a gold mine in the rubble of the housing crash. Properties were cheap. Banks were desperate to unload foreclosed homes, and entire neighborhoods were up for grabs. Companies like Blackstone and others started buying these homes at bargain prices, bundling them into portfolios and renting them out. What started as a crisis response became a long-term strategy, and it worked brilliantly for them. Wall Street discovered that single-family homes weren't just good investments, they were incredible profit machines. Fast forward to today, and the scale of their influence is staggering. A 2021 analysis found that corporate investors bought nearly 25% of all single-family homes sold in certain U.S. markets. Let's break this down. They have resources ordinary buyers don't. Most families need loans to buy homes, but these firms pay cash. In competitive markets, cash is king because it eliminates delays and uncertainty for sellers. They outbid regular buyers. With access to vast amounts of capital, these companies can afford to pay more than a home is worth. For them, it's not about living in the property, it's about turning it into a long-term revenue stream. They target key markets. Investors are focusing on cities like Atlanta, Phoenix, Dallas, and Tampa, places where population growth is strong, but housing supply is limited. The result? Prices soar, and families are pushed out. This isn't just about outbidding buyers, it's about reshaping the market itself. Corporate landlords don't just raise housing costs, they change the way we think about homeownership. Living in the shadow of Wall Street. Now, let's talk about what happens when these companies own the homes you want to buy. First, they rent them back to you at a premium. Think about it. You can't afford to buy the house because they drove up the price, but you still need a place to live. So, you rent it from them. Rents in these properties are often higher than market rates. Worse, tenants frequently report poor maintenance and restrictive lease terms. You'd think paying a premium would guarantee great service, but that's often not the case. Complaints of delayed repairs, hidden fees, and sudden rent increases are common. And then there's the emotional toll. Renting from Wall Street landlords can feel like an endless cycle. You pay month after month, but you're no closer to owning anything. The dream of homeownership becomes more distant with each rent check. This isn't just about individuals, it's about communities. When Wall Street buys up entire neighborhoods, it changes the fabric of those areas. Instead of communities of homeowners invested in their neighborhoods, you get transient populations of renters. Even new construction isn't safe. Corporate investors are now buying homes before they're even built. Developers sell directly to these firms, cutting out traditional buyers entirely. This means fewer homes ever hit the market, further limiting supply and driving prices higher. The bigger picture. Why it matters. The consequences of Wall Street's domination of the housing market go beyond individual families. It's reshaping society. Wealth inequality grows. Homeownership has historically been one of the most reliable ways for families to build wealth. When people are locked out of owning homes, they miss out on decades of equity building. Renters lose stability. Long-term renters are subject to market volatility. Unlike fixed-rate mortgages, rents can increase dramatically year after year. Communities suffer. Corporate landlords don't have the same stake in neighborhoods as homeowners. They don't attend local meetings or advocate for better schools. They're focused on profits, not people. And here's the kicker. Wall Street isn't just profiting from the housing market, they're also creating the conditions that make it harder for families to buy homes. By monopolizing inventory and raising prices, they've built a system where they win and we lose. So, what can we do? Is there any way to level the playing field? Some progress is being made. Advocacy groups are calling for policies that limit Wall Street's role in the housing market. Proposals include tax penalties for corporate landlords. This could make bulk buying less appealing. Restrictions on institutional ownership. Some suggest banning corporations from owning single-family homes altogether. Incentives for individual buyers. Policies that prioritize families over corporations could help balance the market. But legislative change is slow, and for many the damage is already done. In the meantime, here's what prospective buyers can do. Look beyond the usual markets. Smaller towns and rural areas may offer more opportunities for buyers than urban hotspots. Explore alternative buying models. Co-buying with family or friends can help pool resources. Get involved locally. Community action can pressure local governments to prioritize residents over corporate buyers. Reclaiming the dream. Despite the challenges, the dream of homeownership isn't dead. Yes, Wall Street has made the game harder, but it hasn't made it impossible. With awareness and determination, families can still carve out their piece of the American dream. The first step is understanding the forces at play. The housing market isn't broken, it's been manipulated. But the more we know, the better equipped we are to fight back. The second step is action. Whether it's advocating for policy change, exploring new strategies, or simply refusing to give up, there's power in persistence. Homeownership has always been about more than just a house. It's about security, pride, and the promise of a better future. That's a dream worth fighting for, even in the shadow of Wall Street.